Happy Friday, everyone. Tom Grisafi, Agbo Media, Agbo Trading. You're listening to the Agbo Podcast, but really, you're here for Wiesemeyer's perspectives. Now, listen, we had a week. We were talking before we built this. Jim's laughing. Can you hear him laughing? He's coming up. He's laughing. Jim Wiesemeyer, my brother and a friend, we said it is going to be so boring when Trump's not president. We are having so much fun. Now, maybe not if you were long feeder cattle, you weren't having fun. Let's bring him in. He built a heck of a show. I'm just here to push the buttons. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer. Jim.
I'm not from the government, but we're here to help.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help. We're going to make beef prices go lower. Where should we start? Stage is yours, sir.
Let's start right there.
All right. So, yesterday afternoon, after the markets were closed, I saw something like this. President Trump says he plans to temper beef prices. What say you?
Well, he said the administration had worked our magic, was his exact quote, to bring beef prices down. What are some of the options? They didn't really detail, no official, details yet, but there could be some trade adjustments with Argentina to temporarily increase the Argentine beef quota into the United States, front-loaded, probably early in 2026 if they do it. It won't be by a lot, 20 to 30,000 tons. There's a possibility later on that he'll lift that additional 40% tariff on Brazil beef. That would bring in more hamburger. And they can do other things, release frozen beef from federal stockpiles, accelerate herd rebuilding grants under drought programs. Really, they've already announced that, I think. And they can streamline USDA inspection approval for imports. But I'll tell you,
Argentina would jump in, right?
Absolutely. The cattle people I talked with the emails and talking with them, they go, look, demand is really good still. We don't need additional imports. Let the market work. And I had a farmer USDA official email me last night. I put out a long report on this topic, Tommy, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that they better be careful of unintended consequences, because when the government comes in to try to fix a so-called market problem, they usually screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope they just let the market work. And but I'll tell you, this is what the big difference I see in Trump 1.0, his first term, versus Trump 2.0. Make America first, okay? That's really, he's directed to consumers, not producers. So the listening audience should remember that. He's after the mass,
right.
the consumers. And that's what you saw when he did the egg price, tried to get egg prices down. And beef, he just doesn't understand the beef market. So he's trying to bring some things
You
in.
sure he doesn't understand the beef market? Because I got a picture here.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, his company. So maybe he didn't. Although I heard his steaks were pretty good, actually, by the way. So.
Oh, my God. If I've been buying steaks from a friend, folks, if you're out there, I've been buying steaks from Albert's Beef out in Nebraska. And just wonderful. Click a button, box of fillets shows up. Matter of fact, Mr. Wiesemeyer, do you like fillets?
I love it. And I usually get mine, I think they're called Snake River.
Oh, geez, Louise, you buy the best. Only the best
good.
for Wiesemeyer.
Oh, they're good. They have a tomahawk steak that is just, it overflows the plate, Tommy. It's just, I love it.
Let's get back to the show. All right. Speaking of show, sometimes when you're cooking, you need cooking oil, right?
Trump after China, he said, he's going to propose ban for using the cooking oil imports from China. Now, that was a key renewable diesel feedstock, and they supplied almost 1.3 million tons of used cooking oil, UCOs, we call it, in 2024. And that was 43% of China's total UCO exports. That was worth a little over $1 billion. Now, this is another move to react to Beijing's halt on U.S. soybean purchases. And really, the domestic soybean oil producers like ADM and Bunge, they stand to gain from this because the U.S. would shift more toward homegrown feedstocks.
Mm-hmm.
And animal fats and ag waste would also see some higher use. And but China will just redirect their shipments to Europe or Singapore. So in the grand scheme of things, not a major development, but it affects certain companies, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go back 1 second. I just want to go back here, and I do want to roll this disclaimer. I want to talk about futures and options a little bit. On a serious note, feeder cattle did close lock limit down today. Today is Friday, 10/17/2025. When Trump tweets, these have serious moves on the markets, whether it be what he did in copper having its largest single day move up ever, and then 4 or 5 weeks later having its largest single move down day ever. This man is moving markets, and when you're on the right side, it's the coolest thing ever, and you feel so doggone smart. And when you're wrong and you're sending in margin money like I've had to do, you wonder you wonder what you voted for, Jim. Back to the
But
show.
I knew when I heard the sound bites with his beef price, we got to bring them down. We're going to bring them down, and we have a plan. That's when I knew, I've got to work Thursday night on a special report because I knew the market factor. And like you said, they closed limit down, and you could just tell it. These are volatile policy moves, potential moves, and reactions for sure.
Yeah. Well, this young lady, I do like Rollins, and she's got a tough job.
Yeah. Now she, it's the one I really like her too. She's the most articulate, ag secretary since a long time, Earl Butz, and that goes back to the Reagan administration. But anyway, she has a habit of, it's like coming attractions for movies. She'll tease you like, oh well, we're going to come out with this in a few weeks, and but the details we're still working on. Well, that causes a lot of conjecture in the marketplace, etc. But she keeps it up, so I don't think she's going to change.
Hey Jim, just move your microphone just a little bit away from your mouth.
How's
there you
that?
go. Right. Oh, so much better. You're
okay.
Deep. Because sometimes folks who listen to this podcast, if their kids are having a hard time sleeping, they say, just put Wiesemeyer's soothing voice on and the kids will fall asleep. He was yelling about this and that. She's got a tough job and she's doing a great job. I mean, she must wake up and go, oh my God, tell me what happened. Like, here we go.
Well, she's I say in my speeches, she's Trump with a skirt. She's very similar to Trump. Her staff will get calls in the wee hours of the morning for a briefing or late at night, etc. So, and she's has the oomph that, although she's much younger than Trump, she's
my age, 53, 54.
Yeah, that's young, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Remember my line, all great men are dead and I'm not well myself.
Yeah. She do you think it's a bold prediction? You think we could see like a Vance Rollins on the president, vice president? Like, you think he'd pick her as a vice president candidate?
I think it would be Vance and Rubio. If
oh yeah,
Marco Rubio
Marco's got like 4 jobs. How about every time someone gets fired, needs something, he goes, just give it to Rubio. He doesn't have anything going.
And Trump this week said that he's probably the best Secretary of State the country has ever had. Now that's saying a lot.
Hey, speaking of Rubio, remember when Trump ran in 2016 and Rubio did that thing about teasing him about his small hands?
Yes. And then
this guy's come a long way.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of respect for him.
He is the best foreign policy. Trump just has a good cabinet, period. And you're seeing it in some of at the Treasury Department with Scott Bessent and the National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, all the way up and down the line. And they had Bessent and U.S. Trade Rep Jamison Greer held a joint press conference. We call it a presser in Washington. And I mean, they didn't hold back. They took any and all questions. And he basically said, don't think that Trump likes to follow the equity markets, but don't think that's going to stop him for doing what he needs to do relative to China. So they
Okay.
think the U.S. has the final upper card with China because we have such a trade deficit with them. So if we retrench a big way to buying Chinese purchases, that will make their already relatively weak economy for China crash. Now, I don't think Trump wants that because that would lead the world market into a recession, but he's basically signaling to Xi Jinping, China's leader, watch out because
No,
we'll
that
do
makes
what
sense.
we have to do. So that
Yeah.
these are high ticket stuff. This is Battle of
Mhm.
the Titans, is how I'd write it,
Well, here
between the
we have a
U.S. and China.
smaller Titan here, not quite China, but tell us about US-Argentina situation.
Well, the Argentine president was in the White House this week, and that's why you had a combination of developments. Now, previously, the U.S. government offered that $20 billion currency swap credit line
This
established
handsome guy right here?
between the Treasury, yes, and Argentina's central bank to stabilize the peso. And and Besant this week confirmed ongoing direct U.S. purchases of Argentine pesos, that's their currency, in the open market to support liquidity. You might be asking, well, why are they so concerned on Argentina when farmers are emailing me, hey, what about us? What about us? And the aid is conditional on economic policy reforms, and he likes the Argentine president. And now this week, we saw a private sector U.S. support of $20 billion being structured by the big U.S. banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Bank of America, under Treasury Department guidance. So with all this help, I know they discussed when they were at the White House together. Trump probably said, okay, what can you do for us?
Okay.
That's how Trump works. And he goes, we got this meat problem. We got a meat price problem. You got a lot of meat there. Right? Can we import more?
Right.
And what's it going to take? Probably that's one. And then another one with Argentina that, again, conjecture, but Rollins at USDA mentioned South America bringing in U.S. beans into South America for crushing. Now
Do
that's
something
part.
like this, these little bad boys?
Yes, that's part of their strategy to lessen dependence on China. Now, Rollins mentioned two interested nations. She didn't say who they were.
Okay.
But watch that one because I think they will eventually announce that. But that could be negative for soybean meal production in the U.S. because expanded South American soybean meal production could challenge the U.S. exports in this country. And just for perspective, U.S. soybean meal exports are at 17.4 million metric tons USDA 25-26 versus Argentina's 30.1 million tons. That's reinforcing Argentina's status
Whoa.
as the top global exporter of meal. So bottom line, they're trying to do everything they possibly can to get soybeans out of this country in a using perspective. But what farmers and other people tell me in the soy industry, they also need to focus on domestic utilization. We still
Right.
don't have the final regulations under the 45Z program, Sustainable Aviation Fuel. Now we're going to
Is
wait.
that
We'll
this
have,
one right here?
yeah. And then the EPA, they're not going to meet the end of October deadline for announcing the renewable fuel standard program mandates for both corn-based ethanol, biodiesel, renewable diesel, etc. And so that's going to be well into November, if not December. But they need to get their act together on this because no matter what they're going to do on the exports of soybeans, and soybean exports aren't that bad. It's just China
Well,
is not
I
there.
mean, they bought so many. Remember when we used to say drive down a country road, look to your left, look to your right, and every other field's going to China. Well, not this year, sir.
Yeah. You know what, well, as you said, driving down the country road, my city friends used to tell me, and this is a true story. They used to always tell me, hey, why does DeKalb and Pioneer own all this farmland?
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, they would see their seat signs and think they owned the land.
Oh, that's funny. I gotta ask you something. You just said something, and I gotta call you out. You said this is a true story. Does that mean all the other stories you told us before were
this,
complete lies?
this is a real truth. Now, remember, I'm a Catholic. I can go to confession, but still,
Y-
no,
Guess what? I got a
I,
joke for you. I got a joke for you. Whenever you have four Catholics together, guess what you find?
a Lutheran.
A fifth. A fifth. Hey, this guy, you like this cat right here talking about the EPA?
Yes,
Lee
Lee
Zeldin, good
Zeldin.
guy.
He's one of the stars of the cabinet. I say in my speeches, and I didn't think I'd ever say that for any EPA administrator. Reason, deregulation. Reason, he's going
Mm.
to settle the waters of the U.S. once and for all for agriculture that will be farmer friendly. Reason, he's helping the energy department and the interior department accelerate the permitting of energy projects, biofuel projects, etc. I could go on and on. He's taken a realistic viewpoint under the ag chemicals, etc. So I've never seen a farmer friendly EPA administrator in my 50 years here.
I want to go back to touch on something you said a little bit ago. I know people don't like Trump, and that's fine. I can go either way with whatever your feelings are, and they don't take feelings at the grocery store. So I understand we all got bills to pay and everything else. But what you said earlier, that this is one of the most solid cabinets. If you look at the Trump cabinet, like the baseball team Moneyball, these people just aren't getting singles. These people are getting doubles and triples. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. Thank goodness, because we need it. This world is not only dangerous, it's extremely dangerous. And you're seeing and I hear too from farmers and some conservative farmers who voted for Trump. Now, I don't think they'd vote for a Democrat. They may not just vote next time,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, they're just thinking that this grand experiment on tariffs just is not it's working against agriculture.
Oh
I
yeah,
hear that.
yeah.
A lot
Oh,
of
it's
people
listen.
understand that. That's why they're talking about the trade related aid. They're talking about Congress eventually probably going to have another economic support package. But then farmers will be quick to say we want trade, not aid. But I'm sorry, that doesn't pay the bills right
Mm-hmm.
away, because we've got it's just not, we have higher prices today than we had last year in many cases.
I know, and
So
but
it's the margin.
but
It's
but
the margin
but our costs are so much more.
cost. Yes.
Right,
And
right.
so that's been getting to the bone marrow of
Mm-hmm.
many farming operations. So agriculture is a strategic industry. Food is national security. I believe it. Brooke Rollins says it, and it's true. Any
Dr. Earl
country.
Butts said
Yes.
America's single greatest advantage is our ability to produce fuel, food, and fiber cheaper than anyone else in the world. And I don't know if that's still true, but I'd say we're up there with the best of the
On
best.
a per capita basis, absolutely,
Did
absolutely.
you
Now,
did you probably knew Dr. Earl Butts?
oh, quite well, quite well. He was.
Oh boy, full screen on Jim. Hold on.
I could see. I
Full
covered him.
screen on Jim.
He would give so many funny speeches that as a fledgling reporter back in those days, I would write notes and things like that.
Hmm.
And when I went back to the office to write a story, they were mainly jokes. I mean, he was a joke teller, really funny guy. And I said, I don't have a story.
His
I
last
mean,
joke got him fired, but it
but
wasn't too much
that's
of a joke. Google it, folks. Google it.
that's
That's what I
true.
could
That's
say.
true.
All right, let's get to the good news. Tommy Grisafi here, Jim Wiesemeyer. You want to get a hold of Wiesemeyer? Here's how you do it right there. Handsome alert. Maybe next week, if you watched last week's show, if you didn't go back and watch it, but Jim's doctor had made a picture of him, what he looked like 30 pounds lighter. We may post that if he can get that image to us, because we're getting good at posting pictures. I have really good news, and I'm being serious here. Sometimes I think we joke because we might cry. The the 2-year note hit 3-year lows. Now, I grew up in the Chicago Board of Trade, trading in the corn pit and the bean pit, but I really started in the bond room. And big shout out to great mentors, Lance Murdoch and other people like that who I was with in the
Follow the
in,
money.
in the bond room.
Follow the
Yeah,
money. Yeah.
the 2-year note hit 3-year lows. You know what that means, Mr. Wiesemeyer?
Lower interest rates.
2026 is the year of the housing market. Back to you, sir.
Back to the housing market is going to come back on. And this is what, on the optimistic side, that Scott Bessent and Kevin Hassett keep saying. The most of the economists are underestimating the U.S. economy in 2026, that some of these things are going to fall into place. Lower interest rates, the Fed's going to cut probably between now and the end of 2026, 4 to 5 times. 4 to 5 times.
You think so? That much?
Oh, yeah. I do.
Wow. Wow.
And then you've got inflation, although sticky. It's the rate of increase is definitely been tempered. And by the end of this year, we've got the Xi Jinping Trump summit coming up, and I think they will meet at
Let
the
me
end of
post
this
that real
month.
quick.
At
These
the
two
end of this
handsome
month,
guys
Xi
right here.
Jinping, yeah.
Hold
At
on.
the end of this month in South Korea.
Mhm.
And now if they meet, if you hear that, hey, they're going to meet, they're going to have some deliverables. And I think the soy sector is thinking, there could be a soybean announcement of a soybean sale. Now that's conjecture, but look at, you just said your basis has improved significantly this
Yes,
week.
sir.
That could be positioning going in for to renewed sales of U.S. soybeans to China.
And that ties into something you said a few weeks ago. And I keep talking about what you're saying a few weeks ago, but as of I get to learn you better and understand you, and that's so important that people go back and watch these prior episodes, that you had said something about, go ahead, watch what happens when the governments close, because some sneakily buying could happen. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, because we don't have daily export sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to report. They don't have to report them. So whenever the government comes back in a week or so, we could say, "Oh, well, China bought this much, and we didn't even know." And so that's where you have to watch that cash price and the basis, to me, as opposed to even the board. And usually, you know the phrase convergence. I was working on a story, never did put it out this week. Maybe
why
next
not?
week.
What are you taking this week off, or
No,
what have you been doing? You just
it's called Trump. But then I thought, look at the spread between December corn futures and the cash price, and especially North and South Dakota. I mean, there's got to be convergence sooner or later. They're where they narrow and get close to each other. Well, it can happen one or two ways. Either futures craters or the cash price rises. And what we're seeing right now is the basis is improving and cash prices on the rise. So we'll eventually get to convergence. And this is why goes into this is why farmers, especially beans, are saying they're not going to sell. They're not selling in any significant quantity. And so we try to bring it back to the market. And I'm jumping here now, but
That's
look
okay.
at what ADM.
This is your show.
Yeah,
you're allowed to do whatever you want. You want to go to ADM? ADM.
ADM offered this week free deferred pricing, DPs, for soybeans delivered to Decatur, Illinois plant. That's basis of Reuters report. Now, why did they do that?
Well,
They're having a hard time finding the beans.
Well, right. And if they can't get the futures market to rally, you just increase the cash market. Although futures and options are real, nothing's as real as the physical trade. The only reason we have a Chicago Board of Trade is because we have a physical bean, corn. How did the Board of Trade start 175 years ago? Because everyone was growing grain, bringing it to Chicago, and they were dumping it at the dead low at harvest. Yeah. They said, what if we started a futures market? And these guys, the Cargill family, ADM, call it ABC, right? Alphabet soup. They, people think free DP is a trick. And I call DP dumb Polak. If they offer you free DP, it means the cash market's hot. Sell the beans. And I heard Chip Flory and yourself talking about it today.
Yes. Well, from ADM's perspective, to be fair, they're protecting crush margins,
Mm-hmm.
and and they're having a hard time getting the farmers to sell. So this puts beans in their system.
Let's get those
So
beans in the system, folks. If you're out there and you got a hot cash market, you know what Tommy G will say: sell those beans, move over, buy a future, buy a call spread. Now I got to run the banner. Futures and options have risk, but you know what else has risk, Mr. Wiesemeyer?
what's that?
Doing nothing, going to your bank and saying, I don't have the money to pay you back, right? So
Yes,
we have to cash flow, Jim. We
yeah.
have to cash flow, take those beans, turn them into cash, buy them on paper. My brother Joe Grasaffi and I did that for probably 12 clients today. They sold beans. We bought paper back.
See there. And so a lot of people initially said when they saw the ADM item, they said, well, why just don't they raise their bids? But it would mean they had to pay more immediately and risk inflating local basis levels. So
Right,
free
right.
deferred pricing lets them secure the physical supply now, preserve the market optics, and defer price risk until later.
Jim,
So
are you interested in becoming a commodity broker
no,
at Ag
no.
Gold Trading?
When a
Because we're looking
policy
at this.
when a policy outlook person gives you commodity outlook, look out.
Yeah.
Okay, is what I
Jim
usually
Wiesemeyer
say.
giving advice. Oh, here's a picture of the markets after Jim's talking. Actually, that's a price of those guys right there. That's feeder cattle on the open today. She went a little cray cray, but that's it. In all seriousness, folks, if you do need help with futures or options, or you have questions, there are no dumb questions. There's just
No.
people afraid to answer them. I went to the Board of Trade in 1989 on a high school field trip. I didn't know what the Board of Trade was, except for I saw this floor that was in Ferris. I saw this movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I saw those guys yelling and screaming. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I came home, told my mom and dad, I found out what I want to do. That was in 1989.
See
Look at
there?
me now. I'm doing videos with Jim Wiesemeyer.
It's called accountability. To bring up the Catholic thing again, I remember this is a true story.
Oh,
True
another true
story.
story. This is two true stories
The true
today.
story. I was telling my confession to my priest, Father
Oh,
Deneen, actually in Troy, Illinois, and I would say the same thing. I think every time, I kicked my brothers and sisters, etc. And for the first time, he said, "Wait a minute." He stopped me and he said, "How many times do you kick your brothers and sisters?" And I told him, I said, "You mean I have to start counting?" I quit kicking them from that day forward because I didn't want to count.
just showing that God's work actually, he's is the power.
Accountability.
I like it.
Take responsibility.
Let's talk about accountability when we talk about America's money. And this is a tough job because this guy, the Fed policy here, he's losing his job. The Fed chief, he's getting abused, but he's just doing his job. What's going on here with Fed
Well, I don't
rates,
think
labor,
I
CPI?
wouldn't agree that he was doing his job. He's trying to do the job. I'm not I think he's very
Well, let
smart.
me ask you. This is our show. Did the Fed try to influence the last election?
I think that they got too political. Yes, I
All
think
right,
he
good
was
answer.
political, and they
Good
shouldn't do
answer.
that. Nope, I got to tell the truth.
Well,
See, I don't have to go to confession anymore. Just tell the truth at my age. But he was on the wrong end of inflation. Remember,
mhm.
inflation is transitory. He was
Oh,
wrong,
transitory,
and
transitory. He
yeah,
transitoried right us into 9% inflation.
yep,
And unless you owned a lot of assets, if you owned assets, inflation
okay,
wasn't such a bad thing. Okay. Because I know people own sections of land and all types of stuff, and they are so much wealthier than they were. 2020, the pandemic doubled people's wealth, and land prices directly correlate with our deficit. Have you ever seen those charts
yes, oh,
of
absolutely, and even more so now. The last two times I've given speeches, farmers have come up to me afterwards, and they say, land in our area is holding up for a number of reasons, but one of them is all this of investment, people coming in for farmland,
mhm,
and two, all these sun uh,
like
sun units.
nepotism?
No, no,
Oh,
sun
solar?
solar
Oh,
panels.
okay.
They're
Oh,
bidding. They're bidding for it. So normally you would have seen a more downward correction in
yeah.
land
I mean, we had
values.
corn a
we're not
dollar
seeing
under
it.
the cost of production, beans $1.50, $2, and land prices. I do a monthly video with the land talker out of Iowa, and Mr. He's like, the only reason land's trading at like 1% lower than last year. That's
Yeah,
nothing. And
that's it. No,
uh,
and for some of these reasons, you've got
well,
it's been it's been the best investment tool in my lifetime. When younger farmers come up to me and they said, "Should I buy some land?"
mhm,
I said, "Well, number one, do you have good parents and grandparents as
mhm,
backstops? And number two, absolutely buy it. Absolutely."
absolutely. All right. Uh, Lack of USDA October crop production trade continues to talk down corn and soybean yields on a downbeat yield report. And the markets did finish on the highs here today.
See there, the yields going down for both the corn and beans. It looks like that's what the market is teaching us and telling
Hmm.
us. Now we didn't have an October crop production report. Hopefully, and we'll get into, will
Hmm.
we have a November crop production report if the government ever comes back? Because I don't think we've ever missed two consecutive crop production reports. I just don't think that's ever
We'll look
happened.
that up. That's a great little fun fact. Let's figure that out.
I know in the first Trump administration, we missed the October crop production report, but I don't think we missed the November. But bottom line on the yield, it looks like our average yields are going to be lower than last year. That's what the market's telling me. I
Hmm.
don't know
Well,
whether
the USDA
you agree.
starts every year that we're going to have a record. We meet in February at the USDA forum right in your backyard, and they tell us we're going to have the most, biggest, best ever this. And we do, like the seed companies say. This bag of corn has potential of 400 bushels. It's just going to go down from there.
Yes. Because of the stacking of the traits are getting better and better. Varieties geared to a particular state. Look at North Dakota. Years ago,
Ah, you betcha.
you didn't have those
No.
those varieties geared toward North Dakota. But as I always say, you can go in the middle of summer and be in the middle of a cornfield in North Dakota, and you think you're in Iowa or Illinois.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
just can't tell the difference anymore.
Yeah.
But bottom line, and this is what's reflected in the cash and the relatively firm futures prices is we're losing production right now.
But we still produced a lot. It just they over advertised it. They overstated it.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
favorite thing I've heard you say is you were on AgriTalk and uh, Chip said the USDA is wrong, and you said, "Yeah, it's the yield's probably higher." I'd never heard him be quiet. It was funny. That's
That's what you
awesome.
start out with. Yeah, you just it's not sacrosanct, even from NAS.
Oh,
It's
you know
better
how
than
to
a
push his
crapshoot.
buttons. You know how he
Yeah,
pushes
it's better
buttons.
than a crop. So again, we need the November crop production report.
Okay.
We need the government to come back in, and I'll just give you the bottom line on the government coming in.
Yes, sir.
Watch Senator John Thune. He's the
Oh, hold on. I got a picture of him.
Senate Majority Leader, because he's going to be the one who eventually works out a compromise deal with the Senate Democrats who are holding off. They need 5 more Senate Democrats, mainly moderates, to vote
This
for
handsome guy.
for the already passed House continuing resolution. Now, this tomorrow,
Hmm.
the Democrats are having their No Kings protest. Now, a lot of people are saying the Democrats didn't want to compromise until after that, so they could tell their constituency, see, there, we're fighting for the things you told us to fight for, the enhanced
Hmm.
Obamacare fee help and a number of other things, but just happened to cost $1.5 trillion, and the Republicans just cannot, go along with that. That's just fact.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think we had a representative this week or recently filed a bill that would have the government continue. We would not have a shutdown. It would continue to be funded. And then for every so many days that if they don't have an agreement on individual appropriation bills, you would cut spending by X percentage points. That was more of an optic bill. I think it made a lot of sense. And since it makes a lot of sense, it won't happen in Congress. Okay.
Hmm.
So, but eventually we're going to have the return of the US government. So that's when we're going to have the reports come out. And notice we mentioned the Federal Reserve. On October 24th, we're going to have a consumer inflation report, the CPI.
Okay.
Now that was rescheduled, so they have the ability, Tommy, to find the people in the funding to do some of these reports. Now, the reason they wanted to get that CPI report is that report is what pegs our social security payments for the following year. That's what I'm going to get next year.
Hmm.
So they better have that. So that's why they brought that report in, and that'll be before the end of October Federal Open Market Committee. So at least the Federal Reserve will have an update on inflation, at least from a CPI perspective. Now, I wonder if they could do the same thing with the USDA's crop production report. I think the lawyers have a lot of flexibility in regarding to what doesn't happen or what happens. Now, remember I mentioned Thune. One of the
Hmm.
things he's telling USDA to do is bring back, find the people and the money so farmers could get marketing assistant loans, MALs, because they're in a cash flow bind right now as they go into harvest.
Trump
Uh,
bucks, like
well,
right
no, this
now.
is marketing. This is MALs, marketing. Market assistant loans, and
Okay.
and I've been asked, can they do that? Well, normally government shutdown doesn't affect those anyway. So yes, they can do that, and they should. I mean, my goodness, there's got to be some cash flow out there because you don't want to have forced farmer sales at these at least lower prices when it looks like we could rally into the end of the year for both corn and beans. Perhaps, not
Hmm.
guaranteed.
Right. All right. Let's talk about something I've been passionate about, and I've purchased this product a few times, and it's okay. But as an investment, when you look at gold or silver or crypto or corn or beans or land, this was not a good investment. And I'm sure you have an opinion about it. You wrote a big piece, Beyond Meat's Clap, Key Takeaways. Mr. Jim
Talk
Wiesemeyer.
about a collapse. They plunged nearly 50% in one day, Monday, to a buck 10, and then they covered around 60 cents, down over 75% year to date, and over 99% from their 2019 peak near $240.
Mm,
Now they're in survival mode. So they restructured, and that's going to buy the time, but but they erased equity. They
hmm.
faced,
This product right here,
yeah,
Beyond Beef,
yeah.
and there's others, but this is the big one. This
That's
was
the
the.
big. That's where the was the darling of Wall Street. You know,
Mhm.
uh,
And
it,
look at this label. Look at this BS on here. Plant-based patties. No soy, no gluten. All the TikTok mommies are reading that going, "Oh my God, this is healthy for my kids." Read the ingredients, people. If
yeah.
you're watching this video, Google ingredients in a Beyond Burger. 17, 18 ingredients. Come on.
Yeah. Where's Bobby Kennedy when you need him?
Oh, he's right here. I got a picture of him. Hold on. My father does not like Bobby Kennedy. I hope Paul Grisafi and Marie Grisafi are watching. My dad doesn't like this cat. And this was not on our script, but they came out with stuff for, we're trying to make more babies in America and they're trying to make it more affordable. Is that correct?
Yes, and the one thing I do like about him is he works out in jeans, so I kind of like that myself.
Well, he got the Jim Wiesemeyer attire. I
You
think
don't
we're
want to see me in shorts.
The I think we're getting to the end of the show. We
We
have a
are.
few things to talk about. Let's do a little lightning round here. Um, I was up very late. I only got a few hours sleeping. We have all these new contracts at the Border Trade CME Group. We could trade crypto. We've always been able to trade gold and silver. I got in the futures industry because, like I said, I wanted a high school field trip. But I actually got into it because I was interested in buying physical silver. And my cousin said,
Mm.
"Don't buy a physical silver. Go buy a futures." And my father opened a futures account for me and help me buy some silver futures. Now, with that, this stuff right here, gold, and this other stuff, silver. Gold went up. Are you sitting down, Mr. Wiesemeyer?
Yes, yes.
Gold's up, even with its bad day today. Gold was up $1,000 in the last 30, 45 days.
Look at that.
What's going on?
That's why you have the phrase "good as gold,"
Well,
right?
it's doing something. Yeah,
Yeah.
silver's broke out to the upside. It goes back to what we talked about last week with China and these metals and
And the
everything.
volatility. Yeah, you go. It's a safe haven. It's a
So
safe haven. It used to be the
Thai,
dollar. Now it's gold again.
well, the world's pulling away from the dollar. It's looking at Bitcoin. It's looking at everything but the dollar, and
True.
they're looking at gold. They're looking at silver. There's not enough of this stuff to replace dollars, though. Correct?
No, no. But it's a real good. It's an inflation hedge. It's a security hedge, etc. So you can never go wrong buying gold. I don't care what
And
you could
there's
buy it near the top, but it'll eventually make new highs. So just like
takes a
the
while.
equity
Took a
markets,
long
yeah,
while.
just give it some time. Give it some time.
A client of mine said, I said, why are you comfortable with land prices maintaining? He said, if gold's going to go up $100 a day, my land's going to be worth something.
Yes, I did sound advice there.
Very good. All right. As we get to the end of the show, I want to tell you how to get a hold of Mr. Wiesemeyer, and you can just keep talking. Tell people about, and I'm being, I tease you a lot, but that's because I love you. Tell people how hard you're working and why they should subscribe, which I think a lot of my clients, friends, bankers, Wiesemeyer Gmail, it's at the ticker. It's there. If you're on Spotify, whatever, if you're listening, uh, you're this is the place to find you. But you are working so hard. I get emails from you at 5 in the morning. You're on Eastern time. That's 4 in the morning there. I get emails from you 9 at night. I don't know when you sleep. I'm not so sure if you're completely sober putting all this stuff out. I mean, you go out all these fancy dinners and stuff, but everything looks good, and you are working so hard,
Well,
so
with Trump,
passionate.
thank you. With Trump, I have a twofold working day. I work very early. I've always worked very early in the morning, get up about 4 o'clock, and then emails. I get about 1,300 a day. You have to go through them and all my feeds that I get from my trusted sources. And then I put out a report called Updates that your listeners, and more than a few have emailed me at my last name at gmail.com, and
Hmm.
I put them on my distribution list.
And it's
And
free.
then during the day, if something major that I didn't cover in updates comes out, then I put out a special report. Now they've tended to increase lately because of things like we started the show with this livestock. We found a way to lower, beef prices. Well, that demands a special report with perspectives, and let's tie in
Hmm.
the podcast name, Wiesemeyer's Perspective. I try to put a balanced perspective on topics and try to be as fair politically as I can. I'm an equal opportunity finger pointer, and you're only as good as your sources. And a lot of farmers are my sources. And what I'm getting from them today is they're flustered, they're anxious, and they just want stability, and they're not seeing it right now.
Absolutely. I'm going to give myself a little plug. Folks, Wiesmeyer's Perspectives is always free, will be free. And Jim and I, this is my favorite thing I do for two reasons. I love working with Jim. It's a privilege and an honor. It also means it's the end of the week. I love putting this out. I love your feedback. Call me, call Jim, email him, do whatever you want. I have my number here, 1-855-737-FARM. Social media is at Agbo Media. We're starting to put out premium content. The new website's up. We had several new subscribers, $25 a month, $250 annually. We're texting, we're emailing, we're putting out suggestions, very much grain and livestock based, but we're enjoying it. We talk about other things too, crypto, and I'm trading all these markets, and sometimes not with success, but I'm involved in these markets. And I'll tell you the truth when I have a good idea or when I have a bad idea. And in general, a lot of times, Jim, when you talk about trading, it's not like, hey, let's get involved. I think what a great risk manager does is keep you out of trouble. A lot of times people call and
True,
say, hey, I want to make money. Let's stop losing money. Let's lose less than our neighbor.
true.
Let's cash flow. Let's get
Yes,
to the banker first. When we go to renew operating notes, we got some good things happening. Interest rates are coming down. You're not the only one who lost money this year, and you don't know how much money the government's going to give you. Now, with that, you're going to close the show. And you're going to leave people so damn optimistic, they're going to want to come back next week. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer.
Yeah, you can see the president. He's been the most farmer friendly. A lot of farmers may not agree with that, but when was the last time you heard a president talk so much about agriculture? And Brooke Rollins is in his office more often than not. But they're going to come out with some cash flow. Once the government comes back to work, we're going to have up to $14 billion or maybe even more trade-related payments, not just for soybeans. And then Congress, by the end of this year, perhaps in an appropriations bill, is to me, they're going to have another economic assistance package similar to the ECAP program that we had that was passed December 21 last year. The total dollar amount to be determined, but it's just not soybeans. Soybeans are hurt relative to the trade, but corn's been impacted. Sorghum,
cotton.
Milo, big time. Cotton, you name potatoes.
Cherries. Didn't you see cherries last week or something?
Cherries, you name it. So that price tag could get a lot higher than people realize. And I know some farmers, usually from I states, will say we want trade, not aid, but you have to give this trade dramatic change in our trade policy that Trump is trying to do. Reciprocity. We'll treat you the way you treat us. In the short term, that's not a positive for agriculture because it's going to take time. That's why you have what they're calling a bridge aid to get farmers out of this cash flow bind because of the margins, because of these costs on fertilizer, equipment, labor, etc. And so that's their theory. And Trump, if he knows the problem, I've been told by his top staff, he's going to deliver. So that's from a taxpayer transfer. This is taxpayers' money, and it's coming because I'll end it with food is national security, food is security, etc., and it's going to happen again.
Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer. Thank you, sir. I'll see you
Sure.
next week.
Next week.